Hello my fellow cigar smokers and welcome to Smoker Spot. I want to talk about aging cigars because that was one of the most requested topics in the last couple of episodes. So here's the guide how to age cigars. And because it can get complicated. Also, you will see in a minute, it's straightforward. But we want to get in a little bit more detail. So I'm structuring this episode in 3 parts, 3 chapters. The first chapter is why. Why are we aging cigars? The second chapter is how. How can we age cigars? What do you need to do in order to age a cigar? And the third and the last chapter is the effect. So what are we getting out of an aged cigar? And that's it. So let's get straight into the first part. Why? Why are we aging cigars? And some things are complicated and some things are pretty easy. Answer that question, why, is pretty simple. There are just 2 options, right? Option A, you want to change the flavor, the aromas of your cigar. Pretty easy. Option B is you are into cigar business. You are buying and selling cigars, and then aged cigars are more expensive than non-aged cigars. That's the only 2 reasons why are you aging cigars, right? That's it. If you know any other reason that makes sense, put it down in the comments and let me know. So, the first chapter was straightforward, right? And that was pretty quick. And we don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. So that's it. The second chapter, how? How is it done? And again, I'm not trying to make a science out of it, right? All you need to have in order to age cigars is you need to have a humidor and you need to have patience. That's it. And maybe that was a little bit too simple. So let me explain a little bit further. Humidor, right? The place where you storing cigars. What is the difference between storing a cigar and aging a cigar? There is no difference. It's just the amount of time you are spending, right? Because when you say I'm storing cigars, it's like I'm storing my daily smokes, right? They're in my humidor. Every day I'm taking 5 cigars out of it that I'm going to smoke, and I refill it again, when I'm buying at my brick and mortar store. That's it. When you're aging cigars, you're not touching it, right? You leave it there for an amount of time, and that amount of time is up to you, right? That can be 6 months, that can be a year, that can be 10 years, that can be 30 years. Really, it doesn't matter. It's up to you, right? How long you want to age a cigar. Not talking about the sense of aging a cigar 30 years, right? But you can do it. You can leave the cigar for 30 years in your humidor and then you smoke it. And then, most probably, you will be pretty disappointed because it tastes like shit. And you think, what the fuck have I done for the last 30 years putting a cigar in the humidor and it tastes like shit, right? I don't want to open that box right now. So, there's a difference between storing and aging. How do you do it? First of all, you have to figure out what is the perfect condition for your cigar, right? Because, it's all about taste, and taste is a very individual thing. I know people who like to store and age their cigars in an environment that has 70% humidity and 20 degrees Celsius, right? I know other people who like their cigars when they are stored a little bit more on the drier side, let's say 68% humidity or 66% humidity. And I know other people who like it a little bit more on the moist side, and then they store it in like 72% humidity, right? Personally, for me, the way I like cigars is when they are stored somewhere between 68 and 70% humidity. And I figured that out over the years, right? I stored cigars in different environments, the same cigars, right? And let's say I'm smoking here Rocky Patel Grand Reserve, right? So I put it in my humidor, I buy it, I put it in my humidor for 3 months, and that humidor has 70% humidity. And then I smoke it, and I like it. And then I've made another experiment, and I have the same cigar, Rocky Patel Grand Reserve, and I put it in a humidor that has like 66% humidity. I'm leaving it in 3 months, I'm taking it out, I'm smoking, I don't like it. Easy like that, I know, okay, I like my cigars when they are stored in around 70% humidity, that's it. So if you know the condition of the cigar that you like, you know how you want to age cigars, right? You need to create an environment that has 70% humidity, if you are into that 70% thing, right? And how do you do that? So I'm not going into humidor detailed techniques, right? I'm just saying you need to have your humidor at 70%. And I'm saying roughly, right? Really, it's not important if your humidor has like 69.5% or 70.8%. Doesn't matter, guys, really, roughly, average. When we're aging, we're talking about a longer period of time, and the average has to be roughly around that humidity that you like, right? Same goes with temperature. The only thing that cigars don't like is like a quick change of temperature, right? So if you have roughly, and usually you have the humidor in your house, right? And the temperature in your house is not like changing 30 degrees like every 2 days, right? So it's more or less the temperature that you live in, right? And for the most people that I know, that's roughly the same temperature, right? When I'm talking about Celsius, you probably have somewhere between 16 degrees when like it's in the summer and you're air conditioning your house, and it goes to 25 degrees, right? So let's say roughly that's the range. That's fine for your cigars. Really, they don't care if it's roughly in that scale, in that range. That's absolutely fine. It's no rocket science, guys, right? Keep it simple. So now you know how you like your cigars. You recreated that environment in your, let's say, in your aging humidor. If your humidor is large enough, you can use it for your daily smokes and for aging, right? But most people I know, they have a smaller humidor, and then they have one humidor where the daily smokes are in, and then they have another humidor where they're aging cigars, right? And these two humidors, they should have roughly the same environment. And then you just leave it in there. You leave it in the aging humidor, and you need to have patience, right? And don't open that box like every day. It's not necessary. Leave it in there. I'm aging cigars. I'm checking like once per month or every 2 months. I'm just opening the boxes and checking if the cigars are all right. And with all right, I'm not talking to them and say, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. Thank you. How was your day? Nice. What's going on? Oh man, hanging around with all other cigar buddies here. I know, I'm just checking if they're looking good, like if there's, for say, let's say mold on it or whatever, It never happened actually with me, but it can happen. For some reason, maybe the humidity goes up for whatever reason, your humidifier is broken, whatever. It's just making sure and check your cigars, right? But not too often, right? And that's it. That's it, guys. For how to, right? My personal advice would be, if you have two separate humidors, it's better to be a little bit more on the drier side than on the and or on the too much humidity side, right? Because you leave it in for a long time, and my personal advice would be make it around 68. If you can recreate 68% humidity, use 68 instead of 70. Because if you have 70 and for whatever reason you have spikes in the humidity, you don't want to ruin your cigars, right? Because when they're over a longer period of time, when they're in an environment that is where the humidity is too high, man, you will ruin your cigars. The same goes when it's too dry. But that's leaving your cigars in an environment that is too dry for a longer period of time. That's hard to achieve. So either like you die and your cigars are still in your humidor and your humidifier is going out of service, or you're taking like a 1-year break in Bermudas and you forget your cigars. But usually that's not happening. When you're into cigars, you're not forgetting your humidity. You're just checking if the humidity is right? So that's it. So it's pretty simple, actually. And that's how you do it, guys. You don't need a special box or a special environment or whatever, right? You just need a humidor, and you probably have a humidor already, you know. And if not, you can make a humidor out of almost everything that you have, right? Don't spend too much money on fancy humidors, guys. I know people who have their cigar, and they're smoking cigars for 30 years, and they have their cigars still in Tupperware boxes, right? Or in a fresh pack. They have like 20 fresh packs laying around. And that's okay. Maybe it's not pretty, but if you're not into that design thing, right? What the fuck, guys? Your cigars don't care in what environment they are laying around. It's not like they have a feeling of design or fashion. So we talked about why. We talked about how. And now what the third chapter, and that's probably the most interesting one, is what is the effect of aging? We want to change the flavors. We covered it in A. We want to change the flavors to the worst. We want to create better cigars, right? We want to make it better. And one thing that you can do with your cigars to make it better than the original condition is aging. Because what happens in the cigar? Actually, there are two things that can happen. And I'm just making it simple again. They're getting milder or they're getting stronger. Or they're getting, let's put it that way. Milder and stronger is maybe the wrong terms. They are flattened a little bit. The taste is flattened a little bit, which is good when the cigar is too fresh, too wild, too rough, you know, and you have a lot of things going on and they don't seem to be in sync. You flatten the curve of flavors. That can be a good thing with some cigars. The other thing is, a cigar can intensify the flavors, right? Because there are certain ingredients in a cigar that are working over a period of time on a chemical way, and that is changing the flavors or the way you're getting the flavors, right? Let me give you two examples to make that clear. Let's take a Davidoff cigar, and let's take one of their Zodiac sign series, right? For example, the Year of the Ox, the last year's Zodiac series cigar by Davidoff. I smoked all of them. And there is one thing I figured out. When you're getting the cigars, they're good to smoke, right? Like with every Davidoff I know. Because they were pre-aged properly in the factory. If you age the cigars longer than 2 years, they're losing something. I was talking about they're like all the aromas, all the flavors, they're like flattened out, right? And that cigar, if you age it longer than 2 years, they're getting too flat. They're getting way too mild. Like it's almost, you still have all the flavors that were originally in there, but they are so subtle that it's getting very, very boring to smoke that cigar, right? But that's something you figure out. And every cigar is different, right? Every cigar is different. So if you have your favorite cigar and you decided to age that cigar, you have to experiment with it. Let's say your favorite cigar is a Romeo and Giulietta Linea d'Oro. You smoke that cigar out of the box when you get it and you think, oh, I think it's better when I give that cigar a little bit more time. So you start aging the cigar. You have to have to try that cigar out of the box when you bought it, because then you know the condition the cigar is in. Because when you don't know that, you wouldn't know the difference after a year or 2 years, right? So you try the cigar, you decided it needs more aging. You put it in a humidor. You have a whole box of it, right? And then let's say after 6 months, you're taking the cigar out and you try. And maybe you figure out, oh, it's a little bit better, but still needs more time. Maybe it's still too wild for you, too rough, or whatever. You know, you don't like it. It's better after 6 months, but not perfect. And then you decide, I'll leave it in the humidor for 6 more months. And then after 6 months, you're getting another cigar out and you're trying it. And maybe it changed again. And maybe you like it even more. And maybe you decide, well, that is the perfect time now. The cigar is now in a perfect condition. That's the best Romeo and Giulietta Linea d'Oro for me. And then you know you need to age the Romeo Giulietta Linea d'Oro for 12 months in order to get the best results for you. And let's say you leave it in the humidor for another 6 months or for a year, and then you're trying it again, and then you don't like it. Then you know it's overaged. It's losing too much, right? And then you know the time frame where you can smoke the cigar, right? In that case, like if I age my Romeo and Giulietta Linea d'Oro for 12 months, it's in a perfect condition. But you have to try, right? You have to check regularly. I mean, if you only have 3 cigars that you're aging, they're all gone, right? So for me, always, it makes no sense to like age a single cigar, right? I mean, maybe I'll leave it in the humidor because I will leave it there for a special occasion, but that's not like aging, right? We're talking like professional aging. We're doing professional aging here, right? So you have to checking regularly how his cigars are. Let's say for the Romeo and Giulietta Linea d'Oro, it's 12 months, and out of experience, I know for the Zodiac series of Davidoff, if you leave it in the humidor longer than 2 years, it's not getting any better. It's only getting worse, right? So in the time range of 2 years, I have to smoke. I buy the box now, and you never know how long that cigar was already in the cigar shop, right? You don't know, because on the Davidoff box there is no box date. You don't know. Maybe the guy in the brick and mortar store he knows and he can tell you. But other than that, you don't know, right? So usually the Cubans, they're putting box dates on it, so there you know. Most of the other cigars don't have that, so we don't know, right? So we just assume that when we're buying a box from a shop, it's like fresh, right? And it's not laying around for like 5 years. But we don't know. We don't know. So there you see, aging is a very individual thing. There are a couple of general rules that I was trying to explain, right? And with rules, I mean, why are we aging cigars? What are we trying to achieve and how to do it? But as you saw, it's actually pretty simple, right? So the key ingredients of aging cigars is the right environment, time, patience, maintenance. Because when you know the right environment for your cigars, you just have to maintain that, right? And again, it's not very hard. That's it. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you expected something else on a guide to aging cigars. If so, we can make another episode, like part 2. You just need to let me know in the comments. If you have specific questions about aging cigars that are not covered, let me know and we talk about it. I will be happy to help. Guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I hope you can smoke a good cigar. Enjoy life. Really important. Most importantly, stay safe and stay healthy wherever you are in the world. And looking forward to seeing you again at Smoke Cigar.